Live, local, news. KSBY News at 5 starts right now with live breaking news.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We continue our breaking news coverage we've been bringing you all afternoon out of San Luis Obispo County.
Now, shortly after 2 this afternoon, an airplane went down southwest of the Pismo Beach Pier. Multiple witnesses report hearing engine sounds. At least one says she heard a bang and then saw a splash. Tonight, a recovery operation is underway.
Yes, that's going on right now in the waters, on the water and from the air. A wallet has been found that searchers believe to be connected to this crash. Our April Hansen is live on the scene and has been for a couple of hours now. April, what's the latest on the ground?
John, like you said, we've confirmed with the San Luis Obispo Sheriff's Department they are in recovery. That means they are looking for victims in the water, but they don't know how many. Right now, if you take a look on the side of me, they are launching off with a jet ski. Those are the dive team with the Sheriff's Department. They have been out here since about 2 o'clock with other local agencies. Multiple agencies have been out here. They've also been checking with all local airports, including LA, to figure out where this plane was headed. What they're working against right now is time. It's about to get dark. It looks like they're trying to get out and get a couple dives in. If they don't find anyone, they will have to come back tomorrow. This is the information that we have right now for you. We will have more information throughout the newscast when we get it in.
All right, April Hansen reporting live for us tonight. I do know divers who are familiar where this debris field was found say the water there is about 75 foot deep, so they are trying to use sonar equipment to locate the wreckage. And
now the initial report that one of the CAL FIRE people said that they thought the crash might have happened a half a mile out to sea, but we have the witness that we talked to earlier in the afternoon who said it happened just offshore, just near the waves of where the surfers would be surfing if they were out at that time. So the debris field may be large at this time. We do not know exactly what that debris field looks like at this point, but we do see the helicopters in the air and those jet skis in the water searching.
We do know, though, also that the witness that we talked to said that they did hear some sort of bang and then saw what she described as a geyser from the ocean or some sort of splash. The weather at the time, not an issue for firefighters. We want to turn things over to meteorologist Dave Hovde to tell us about what the conditions were like shortly after 2 this afternoon. Dave?
Yeah, I concur with that. It's about as benign as you can get. Skies were absolutely clear. There were no significant winds in the area. You're talking about winds under 10 miles per hour. This is an area that typically actually does get fairly breezy in the afternoon. We had shifting winds with morning offshore winds, afternoon onshore winds, but that 2 o'clock time frame was almost like the sweet spot. Take a look at some of the current conditions out there right now. You can see the winds under 10 miles per hour across the board on the Central Coast. And at that 2 o'clock time frame, I looked at all the local weather stations, all reporting light in this area. So weather, not a clear cause. Now, if you go up about 18,000 feet, then the winds get to be about 30 knots or so, but most smaller aircraft typically stay under that. We'll talk a little bit more in weather about some of the conditions, but until then, I'll toss it back to you.
All right, thank you, Dave. We want to go back out to the scene there where searchers are fighting the last vestiges of light, and Victoria Johnson is on scene there. Victoria, what can you report?
Well, John, I know I just heard Dave talk about the winds. Winds right now are very light, and it looks like just an absolutely beautiful day, a great day to fly. I was actually out at the Oceano airport, and I spoke to 2 people who work there, and they said that it was actually a more busy day than usual because it's been so nice, which is pretty typical. When you have nice weather, a lot of people like to come out and fly. However, when I asked them the question if the plane took off from that airport, they said that they couldn't confirm. Now, Oceano Airport does not have a control tower. Therefore, pilots, there is nowhere to call in if a pilot has a problem. Now, what they said is they heard around the airport that no emergency call was made. That we still need to confirm, but this is just from 2 people who work at the airport. They say that a couple of planes, about 4 planes, took off from the airport today. But the thing is, Oceano Airport, it's not too far from the beach. So what they were saying is that if an airplane did take off from that airport, most likely it didn't have enough altitude. So if something did happen to a plane that could have taken off from Oceano Airport, not enough room to try and recover that aircraft, or really just trying to recover if there was any type of a problem with a plane. But right now we don't have an airport a confirmed airport rather, where it may have taken off from. But one person who was on the scene earlier today said that they did see some seat cushions float in, and we've heard that debris has been coming in from the ocean. So right now it's just a waiting game to find out more information. As soon as we do, we will pass that along to the newsroom.
All right, Victoria, before
Live
you
in,
go,
Oceano tonight.
Before you go,
Yes.
Victoria, this is the first live pictures I've been seeing that were being shown right now. And it looks like we can actually see the recovery operation boats out there. Can you count how many are involved in this and let us know what that wider picture is there?
You know, Jeanette, I just saw a few folks here take off in a jet ski. I did see a few guys from the sheriff's dive team as well. Typically, when they come out to any type of a scene like this, it's a search and recovery mission. I haven't been able to have a chance to speak with them yet, but we do have
Victoria, here's
Sheriff's California.
Here's the
State
deal.
Parks
I
and
think we are
Beaches and
seeing a closer shot than you are with the naked eye. We have photographer Kenny Nichols on the scene who is able to get a zoom here, and we're seeing at least 3 boats and a jet ski. Kenny, if you can pan right and left, we can see if there's anything else. But it doesn't look like this debris field is too far offshore, but clearly out of the sight of the naked eye where you can actually count how many boats are involved.
Yeah, and then
I'm having a pretty hard time seeing. I think you have a better visual than I do looking into the sun here, but it looks like there are at least a couple of boats. I know that a jet ski went out there. Looks like, I'm not sure if it was lifeguards or sheriff's dive team. They just took off as soon as I arrived on the scene.
Yeah, and it looks, I believe that is a Coast Guard craft out there in the last shot that we just saw. But obviously, at least, and there you see the helicopter overhead. So several people in the actual water. We did see the dive team getting out there. Again, it is 5 or 6 minutes after 5. Not much light left in the day. Victoria, stay there on scene. We will check back with both of you on scene there for a bit more information in just a bit. Obviously, the question everyone asking tonight is what kind of plane, how many people may have been on board. We have our resident aviation expert on the scene today. We're going to check in with Richard Gearhart a little later in this newscast and try to answer some of those questions. We do know it's a small aircraft, and we do know that a wallet was found that the searchers do believe was tied to that crash. Okay, stay with us. We'll be back with more after this break.
Now, your live, local TrueView 6 weather forecast with meteorologist Dave Hupty.
We continue our live coverage of the recovery efforts in the Oceano area. This is a live shot from our crew at the beach. What's interesting to note also about the recovery efforts out there on the water, if you recall over the weekend, we had wave heights at about 15 feet. Well, today they're more like 6 and 7, so that is making some of the recovery easier. Again, we'll talk more. Richard Gearhart is in the studio. He'll be joining us shortly to talk a little bit about the aviation. So we're going to take a little hard turn here and talk about just the weather. And it has been so warm. 3 more days of near record heat on the way. 15 to 20 degrees above the averages, and it's poor fire weather as well. Has it been hot a long time? It sure has. The streak of above normal days in Santa Barbara now has reached 24. It was 81 degrees today. 64 is the average daytime high. In Santa Maria now, our streak is at 26. 83 today. Couple of times we threatened getting back to normal, but never quite got there. In terms of the daytime highs in San Luis Obispo, our streak is at 26. It was 84 today. 20 degrees above the average. And in Paso Robles, 73 degrees today, 25 degrees, 25 days, I should say, with temperatures above the averages. No records today. That's because the standing records are in the upper 80s. Big ridge of high pressure, morning offshore winds, weak afternoon onshore winds, and clear skies. In terms of the surface features, with high pressure sitting over the Four Corners area, wind comes out of a high in a clockwise fashion. That gives us the offshore. And in Southern California and in Kern County, some of these winds are gusting at 50 and 60 miles per hour. Locally, the gusts were closer to 25 and 30, and a lot of places didn't even see wind gusts that strong. But it is a consistent offshore push. Temperatures right now 76 in San Luis and 71 in Santa Maria. Closer to the beach there, it is 65 at Vandenberg. And the wind speeds right now, they're varying in terms of direction. Under 10 miles per hour at the coast, a little bit stronger right now up in Paso Robles. No advisories, 83 in San Luis Obispo for your Wednesday, and 82 in Santa Maria, 78 in Lompoc, 76 in Santa Barbara, 79 in Paso Robles. Overnight lows in the 20s in the deep interior. Otherwise, take a look at Cuyama, 33 overnight, but back up to 79 degrees tomorrow. Dry air has a great capacity to cool and warm quickly. In the 5 cities, temperatures overnight will hold in the 40s. But look at Morro Bay and Cambria back up into the mid-70s again tomorrow. And if anything, that's a conservative forecast. A lot of 80s reported today. Extended forecast stays right about 80 to 85 through Thursday. Then coming back a bit Friday. Weekend temperatures cooler, onshore winds arrive, but still the daytime highs expected to be about 12, 13 degrees above the averages. Paso Robles and North County temperatures near 80 the next couple of days. 60s return next week. Santa Barbara and the South Coast, mid-70s returning to the low 70s by the weekend. More weather tonight at 6. Until then, John, Jeanette, back to you.
And we want to get back to the breaking news story that we've been covering all afternoon, and that is the plane down in Oceano.
That's right. We want to head out to April right now. April Hansen, how much light is left there? Is the sun actually down at this point for these searchers and their search?
John, the sun is setting. It's getting pretty close for it to be nightfall here. Just about 10 minutes ago, we saw a dive team launch out with a jet ski. They are searching for victims. The Sheriff's Department says they do not know how many victims are out there, but they are in recovery. Now, this happened again a little after 2 o'clock. There was a 911 call that came in from a witness that said that they heard something that sounded like a plane go into the ocean. The Sheriff's Department has confirmed they found debris from an aircraft. So they're still searching right now, and if they do not find any victims at nightfall, they will be coming back tomorrow. Guys, back to you.
Thank you very much, April. Again, this plane going down shortly after 2 this afternoon, and we don't know how many victims are involved.
Yeah, we've seen the boats out there. We've seen some guys on jet skis, even some surfers out there. So we know that there are people in the general area. They have not found anything but a wallet at this point. We'll be back with more after this break.
Welcome back, everyone. We are joined by a familiar face a little later than usual. Richard Gearhart is joining us because you are kind of our resident aviation expert as a private pilot and used to flying single-engine planes. If this plane, and we don't know, if this plane took off from the Oceano airport, it wouldn't be surprising that there's no flight plan filed.
No, not at all. And in fact, on a day like today, when there's very, very clear weather, very few people would file any kind of a flight plan. You would be under visual flight rules. And so indeed, it could conceivably be that no one knew you even took off.
Wow.
And in fact, if you were taking off from the Oceano airport, it's an uncontrolled airport. It does not have a control tower, for instance. So in essence, the pilots use something called a common traffic advisory frequency to talk to one another. They are responsible for creating all of this separation and for letting other pilots know that they're taking off. You do not need to check in with any kind of a tower or any kind of flight control in order to take off from the Oceano airport. So it would make sense. Now, obviously, it's kind of dangerous to speculate, but if we take a look at, if we can get the actual map that's on the weather computer right now, it'll kind of show, for instance, the Oceano runway, and on a calm day, which today was a calm wind day, very, very clear, the direction you would take off is on runway 29. So you would start at the inland side of that runway, which you can see in the middle of your screen, and head toward the ocean or toward the beach.
Okay.
And in fact, noise abatement rules at the Oceano airport, and I've taken off and landed at this airport many times, while flying around the Central Coast, you would actually be required to fly straight, runway heading directly to the beach, and you're not allowed to turn in any direction until you cross the shoreline, and that's to reduce noise in the area. So, that is in essence right where they're looking for that plane, or where that plane went down, is sort of off the beach there, off the Oceano. So again, it is dangerous to speculate. We have no idea where this plane took off, but it would make sense that if a plane were taking off, that's where it would end up had it had any trouble during takeoff.
Now, we've reported that and have been told by the SLO County searchers that they did find a wallet. Tell me about small aircraft. how would they break up if they found this wallet? How difficult is it going to be to find other things?
Well, anybody who's been in a small airplane before knows that they're constructed to be very, very lightweight. And so while the landing gear is strong enough to support that plane hitting the ground, certainly the whole plane isn't necessarily very built with a whole lot of strength for hitting
Structural
any
integrity,
exactly, for hitting the water. So it would be conceivable that plane would break into pieces and sort of sink below the water. So any debris like contents of the cockpit, flight logs, wallets, I mean, it would be conceivable those could float back to the shore.
What about the witnesses say that there were several witnesses that say they did hear some engine sounds, and one says she heard some sort of bang. I hate to go to speculate, but
exactly.
Any idea what that, could that be a stall as you're making the turn once you've cleared where you have to head straight?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a number of things, and again, it would be pure speculation, but obviously the plane hitting the water, just because of surface tension of the water, would make quite a crashing sound.
Sure.
Water isn't necessarily gentle. If the plane was had any kind of speed as it was going down, obviously, that would cause some problems too. We should probably point out too that we are speculating. That's a very, very common airport to
fly out of locally.
Yeah, well, and also it's a common area to fly, so that's also an entry point, for instance, into the pattern. You can use that as an entry point into the pattern for San Luis.
And we have no knowledge that plane left from that airport at that point. Richard, thank you very much for checking in with us.
You bet.
All right, we are going to take a quick break, and we will keep you posted on the search efforts happening out off the coast of Oceano for a plane that went down shortly after 2 this afternoon. Stick around.